Hello, everybody. We are Emerged by Design, and I am Brandy,
And I'm Richard.
and we are here to talk about the new moon in Virgo this week.
Yeah, taking place on Monday, September 2nd at 7:55 p.m. Mountain Time, where we're located. And yeah, new
Yeah,
moon in Virgo.
there's a lot going on, and it's turning to and shifting into feeling a little supportive
Yeah.
for the next couple months.
Yeah, we're moving into we're in the sign of mutable Earth with
Hmm.
Virgo, and
Hmm.
we're feeling it here in the northern hemisphere. Well, but we're heading towards winter, but we're in
Absolutely.
that changing season, and you can really feel it right now. It's a little
Yeah.
warm one day, a little cool the next.
Yep.
You can feel the light shifting.
Yeah. Twilight has a strange hue for
Yeah,
sure.
it does. It's beautiful. But let's take a
So
look at the
let's see.
chart here. Yeah, and pull this apart and see what we can find out. So we have the new moon at 11 degrees Virgo,
Hmm.
and I love every new moon. I always think of the moon going dark in our sky,
Right.
but on the other side of the moon, she is fully illuminated with the sun. And
Hmm.
it's like she's having a private conversation. She's getting her lunar download.
Yes, the
For,
neutrinos are coming in. She's listening. She's listening to what she's going to share with us over the next cycle, and
Mhm.
then she turns around.
Yeah, yeah, and then we get to ride it.
Yeah.
Um, so this is a wonderful time to really collect those intentions, I think,
Hmm.
to really ground ourselves. We've had a couple of very astrologically active lunar cycles.
We
Yeah.
have. And what you've talked about in the new moon is it's a fresh start,
Hmm.
to be able to put down what we were doing in the last month's moon cycle,
Yeah.
and move forward into, or sew it together, really
Hmm.
take what the last remnants was, what we knew would be sustainable from
Right.
what we've developed last month,
Hmm.
and now apply Virgo
Hmm.
and everything else in the chart to that
Yeah,
learning.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And when we're thinking about Virgo, boy, this is a sign that can get it done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Virgo is very attuned to the details,
Yes.
to the patterns.
Details, the truth, the alchemy, the commitment, the
Hmm.
leadership, the details.
It's associated with the sixth house, and it is the house of self mastery. The first six houses of the astrological wheel are very self
Mm-hmm.
development in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Once we move into Libra in the seventh house, we're now in the house of relationships.
Yeah. I related to the lower and upper trigrams of the hexagram.
Yeah.
Like the first six are the lower and the second six are the transpersonal, more
Yeah, I
so.
think that's a good way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, Virgo, really beautiful attention to detail. Excellent. It's going to be an excellent cycle to focus on wherever we'd like to find improvement, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's health related, business related, home related. Just a great time to really get organized.
Yeah. And the chart, the human design chart, definitely supports this. And it supports, I think, the organization of what we have been going through, the truth. I think we have access now. We've been talking about restoring
Hmm.
our past hurts,
Yeah. Hmm.
and really taking our eyes and looking at them again, because what we know is that when they happen, whatever age we were, that's really where we stop in
Hmm.
the development of that concept or idea or experience. And so revisiting is what we've been going into for the past few months, revisiting all of those places and writing new stories. And now it feels like it's time to know the truth and put the real details. Now, what am I gonna do with this truth?
Hmm.
Now, how does it feel more expansive? I think 63, 64, being able to have all of those details together
Hmm.
shows us the truth, which then has us relieved of the problem.
Yeah, I like the way you're describing that channel of logic there. Um, I guess we could talk about the channel of community since that's the sun and the moon. Maybe you want to circle
Yeah.
back to that because I think there's a storyline we were just looking at when we talk about Mercury and where it's located in the channel of logic and how that
Right.
actually ties into Chiron. Chiron's really drawn into this lunar cycle
Right.
based on this new moon chart. But we should mention the moon herself being in gate 40,
40.
line 6, lined up with the sun there.
Yeah, well, what it feels like is that we are able to now see and have a more expanded vision of the story that we once told into what the truth really is. And now it feels like Virgo is the, okay, what do we do with it?
Hmm.
And 4037 is saying, okay, how do we become aware of the ties and binds that we've created emotionally with
Hmm.
people?
Hmm.
And is that still true for us? Is that still somewhere we want to put our energy?
Yeah.
Is that still uh, something that we can move through the ebbs and flow of life
Hmm.
with and about?
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so the transit field itself, as you mentioned, is bringing us that channel of logic, which may help us to be more aware from an
Mm-hmm.
Osna center, because Mercury is in gate 4, Saturn is in gate 63. And I want to mention that Mercury has completed its retrograde cycle. It's moving forward again. And in Mercury in gate 4 is also in a trine to Chiron in gate 42.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the third trine. So several weeks back, Mercury was moving forward and made the trine. Then it stopped and went retrograde, made the trine a second time.
Mm-hmm.
And now Mercury's moving forward again. So it's making this trine the third time within a couple of weeks. And it's past the exact trine,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still within a degree and it's moving forward. But these new moon charts, they are like an imprint of the pattern of the message of the lunar cycle. And so I think this Mercury Chiron trine really is supportive for what you were sharing there.
Absolutely. And I think it's not just the mental awareness of the new story, but it's also the 4037 awareness,
Mm-hmm.
the awareness of those binds and of those ways that we use our energy to create relationships with people. Are they correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and these gates 40 and 37 um, are in the sun and well, we could talk about the sixth line of them all if you
Yeah.
wanted to.
Yeah.
That's what I was really feeling was that, okay, the objectivity of seeing the point of the whole thing. And do I want to participate or do I not want to participate?
Mm-hmm.
That sixth line of it all.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned the sixth line, the only other planet that's in a sixth line is that Saturn in gate 63.
Yeah.
And so I think that also ties into the message you're sharing there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Because 63 in the sixth line is what is 64 in the first line, or that if we're following the number story, if we have truth now, what's the next story?
Hmm.
Now, because we have this expanded truth, what can be next in the beginning of a new cycle?
Yeah, very nice, very nice. So yeah, I think that Mercury trine Chiron really important. And there's another significant aspect in the astrological wheel is that Mars at 28 degrees Gemini, and Mars is in gate 15, line 1 at the time of the new moon,
Mm-hmm.
is in a square to Neptune at 29 degrees Pisces, and Neptune is still in gate 25 in retrograde.
Also, line one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think it's a beautiful foundation, self-direction kind of information or kind of time, like the foundation of what is my direction now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, two G center gates. Um, Neptune in 25, the spirit of the
Mm-hmm.
higher self in this dynamic relationship and the relentless energy of Mars in that 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the love of humanity. It's the gate of extremes. It speaks to the acceptance of all extreme natures.
Right.
That's why the love of humanity is accepting everyone wherever they are. But two beautiful gates coming out
Yeah.
of the G center there.
And it sounds like a beautiful gift for Mars to be able to see and find his rhythm in everything that's possible now.
Hmm.
Mars, they say the god of war, but what Mars feels like in my body is my defender,
Hmm.
is my masculine, is the
Hmm.
thing that stands up when it needs
Hmm.
to defend my purpose or
Hmm.
whatever that may be. And
Hmm.
so I feel like Mars getting to spend some time in 15 with the support of universal love in Neptune is like this big brother or something, uncle, like his uncle Neptune put his arm around Mars and is like, all right, man, we can stay steady for a minute so you can see all possibilities before you decide what you're going to defend.
I like that. I like that a lot. I think it also can bring in that Neptunian quality of, Neptune diffuses, dissolves. It can really, hopefully, maybe take some of that aggression out of Mars,
Yeah,
as you're
yeah.
describing. Mars and Gemini in that air sign, it can be a bit verbally overbearing
Yeah.
in a sense.
Yeah.
But
Especially in the first line of
mhm,
what the hell is going on?
yeah, little bit of insecurity
Yeah,
there,
yeah, yeah.
trying to figure it out. So we'll just have to
Yeah.
see how that plays out.
So I think that if there's any, piece of advice or thought that I would apply to my life, and maybe you can to yours, is that I get to allow my Mars to surrender. Every time I feel those hairs on the back of my neck standing up, I get to look a little bit deeper. Just take it. You say this all the time. Look left, look right, look left again, or
Hmm.
however you say that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because and I think with 25, with Uncle Neptune on his shoulder, we've got some support to be able to take a breath before we defend ourselves.
Yeah, and along with that story, I think it'd be good to pull in Venus. Venus is in Libra and is conjunct the South Node, so
Mm-hmm.
she is on the nodal axis. She's in gate 18 with the South Node.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me think about, what did we value? This is Venus. Venus is about our wants and desires, what we like and what we value from the past. What
Yeah,
can we pull in from back there
right.
and pull it forward?
To
Uh,
bring joy.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Joy. We're all
To
for
bring
that.
joy. It's such a beautiful, like I hope everybody's following the storyline, but to say it all quickly again and catch us back up, we've got 63, 64. Wow, here's all the pieces and parts and the work you've done all year long, this individual channels over and over, and this
Yeah,
initiation over and over
we have had that.
all year long. And so now you've got all these pieces and parts, and now you can see them, and holy shit, there might be a truth there.
Yeah.
And so, because there is a new truth, or maybe there's not, but if there is a new truth, now there can be a new way of applying it, 4037, of working with your tribe or your network or your people
Yeah.
to be that thing in, because 8, if we haven't gotten to 8 yet, but contribution of self is there. So to work to uh, become aware and help your loved ones and beloveds become aware of this. Okay, this is what I'm going to work on being. This
Yeah.
is my contribution now. And the ability for Mars to be like, okay, are we sure? And Neptune saying, okay, well, this is what love sees. This is what love sees. This is what love sees. So it's like a beautiful setup
Yeah,
for us.
I appreciate you recapping all that for us. And that's the other thing when I think about that channel of logic, it brings the awareness to see the weak link in the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
What is that thing
Mm-hmm.
in ourselves, in our loved ones, in our community that we can improve?
Yeah.
It's very Virgo energy to do that right now.
Yeah, for sure. And for all for joy, right? This splenic, this Venus, this Venusian, all of it, as human beings right now, the in the epoch that we are in, we are sensory beings.
Hmm.
And so Venus dictates the sensory body. And so we get to experience joy
Hmm.
if we've surrendered 60 to the rest of the things that are experience. I think joy is built into the program for us.
Well, you mentioned that. Let me pull this forward from the astrological chart. With Pluto at 29 degrees Capricorn, Neptune at 29 degrees Pisces, they're forming a sextile, or they're pretty close. They're still about almost 2 degree, a little over a degree, but that sextile is building. And then if you go from Neptune 29 Pisces down to Uranus 27 degrees Taurus, that's also a sextile that's building.
Mm.
So between Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, we have a trine and two
All right.
sextiles. It's
Mm-hmm.
like we might call it a mini grand trine. It's still forming. So these three outer planets, which I often say really set up the outer scaffolding,
Mm-hmm.
they hold their space for such a long time. They move so slow, and they're all in retrograde right now. But over the next year to 2 years, so I'm really talking about it's the end of 2025 when that mini grand trine will be as close as it's going to get to exact. It'll be in play for several years. Now, who knows exactly what that means, but I do like the idea of the outer planets moving into a very supportive and harmonious outer
Mm-hmm.
scaffolding.
Oh, what I want to tell you as your
Mm.
therapist is that it's not always easy to go from chaos and alertness to rest and ease. And sometimes we have this addictive momentum to continue the fight and continue the struggle, even if we don't have to. And so I feel like moving into, it's kind of a seasonal shift too, because we're moving into the more introverted spaces and times. And so we get to allow the softness, we get to allow the rest, we get to allow the integration, the out breath after you've done so much in breathing.
Very well described. And if we add in the keynotes of the gates they're in, we've got Pluto, which has been in gate 60 for so long. It's still got another, I don't have the exact date, but about a year and a half, almost 2 years before Pluto is out of gate 60. But that is the gate of acceptance and limitations. And then if we add Neptune, gate 25, the spirit of the higher self, and Uranus in gate 8, individual gate of contribution to group goals. All of those are individual. And I think that's where I've been sharing this in my previous weekly transit reports. With such a chaotic world going on, it can be very overwhelming, but these outer planets are directing us inward. Inward, what can we do within our sphere, right? So I think it's a really important message that they're offering, this idea of accepting whatever our limitations are, alchemizing them into being a strength and a gift that we can share to others with our spirit of our higher self, leading to that very inspirational contribution that we can make in our small world. Yeah. It's easy to get to want to put our head in the sand right now. Things can definitely seem overwhelming at times, but yet it's also that dynamic energy is supporting us to go inward and find our contribution in the world right now. So I think it's really, really supportive for any creative work that we're working on, how we're supporting each other.
That little quiet voice that if you've been following us, we've been urging you to listen to that. And so now is the time to be brave and believe it. And maybe, of course, following your strategy and authority, trusting the pattern that you've recognized, and trusting the work that lights you up, and trusting the direction that feels like love, and trusting your contribution is enough to bring you joy.
Yeah, very nice. That's beautiful. Well, anything else you'd like to share on that or on the chart that you see?
No. Hi, all my Virgos out there. I know.
Yeah.
Hopefully we did well enough of the details.
Happy
birthday.
Well, I hope you all have a lovely new moon. Be sure to get outside, even though she's hard to see. You could still take her in, and we'll check back in with you guys on the first quarter moon in a week.
Yeah. Enjoy yourselves.
Thank you, and bye for now.
Bye.